On April the 2nd, 2026, the most powerful lawyer in America was fired by a Truth Social post. Pam Bondi's 14 months as US Attorney General wasn't just a term in office. It was a 400-day blitzkrieg against the status quo. She arrived with a mandate to burn it all down and rebuild the DOJ in the president's image. But today, her office is empty and her legacy is being picked apart by both sides of the aisle. Why did the ultimate loyalist get the boot? And what did she actually manage to do while she held the keys to the kingdom? Let's look into it. So, on her very first day, Bondi didn't just tweak things. She issued a memo declaring all DEI, also called diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the federal government, illegal. But she didn't stop at the government. She reiterated the DOJ to sue private companies and universities that use diversity quotas or race-based preferences in hiring. She literally removed the disparate impact rule, a 50-year-old legal standard, arguing that unless you can prove intentional racism, the DOJ isn't interested. In her words, the Department of Justice was no longer in the business of social engineering. Furthermore, Bondi fundamentally turned the DOJ into an extension of the Border Patrol. She created Joint Task Force Alpha and Joint Task Force Vulcan with one goal: the total elimination of gangs like MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. She also issued a mandate that changed how people are prosecuted. She ordered US attorneys to pursue the most serious possible charges for every immigration violation. She even went after sanctuary cities, threatening to cut all federal funding and sue local mayors who didn't cooperate with mass deportations. She wasn't just enforcing law, she was waging a war of attribution at the border. Another thing she did, which a lot of people might have missed, is that Bondi also officially reinstated the federal death penalty, lifting the moratorium that had been in place for years. She pushed for swift justice for drug kingpins and those she called cop killers. She also implemented Executive Order 14224, making English the official language of the United States, and she ordered that all DOJ business, legal filings, and even internal memos be conducted strictly in English. She even rescinded the environmental justice memo, essentially telling federal prosecutors to stop focusing on climate-related crimes and start focusing on street-level criminals. So, if she was doing all this, one can argue within a 400-day time span, she has been rather quick on her feet, and she basically did everything that the president wanted. So why was she fired on April the 2nd? Well, one can argue that it comes down to results. One thing that was noted very clearly during 2025 was she created the weaponization working group. So basically a group made to prosecute the president's enemies, people like James Comey and Letitia James. But by the spring of 2026, her cases were basically falling apart in court. Federal judges were tossing them out for lack of evidence, and the president, as you know, wanted scalps, and Bondi was giving him legal technicalities. Also, let's not just forget the Jeffrey Epstein files. I won't go into details, we all know about it already. But arguably this, if not one of the most fundamental elements as to why she might have gotten the boot. Because early in 2025, Bondi told the media the client list was sitting on her desk. And then later, the Justice Department says that the client list doesn't exist. When she finally released the document in early 2026, as you all know, they were a disaster. Millions of pages were released, but they were so heavily redacted, covered in black ink, that they were basically useless. Bondi was also subpoenaed, and during her February hearing, she was accused of a grotesque cover-up where she refused to answer questions or even look at the survivors in the room. This PR nightmare, combined with her losing streak in court, arguably is what made her a liability, and she got the boot. And hopefully, in my honest opinion, this has tarnished her reputation forever. But yeah, that's just my opinion, of course. See y'all. Bye.